Throughout human history, war has been a constant and devastating presence. From ancient times to the modern era, conflicts have ravaged nations, shattered lives, and left an indelible mark on civilization. The drums of war have echoed through generations, reminding us of humanity's capacity for both great destruction and remarkable resilience. Despite periods of peace and progress, the threat of war continues to loom large in the 21st century. It is a sobering reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of understanding the root causes of conflict. By examining the historical context of war, its devastating consequences, and the factors that contribute to its outbreak, we can gain valuable insights into the challenges of building a more peaceful and just world. This essay delves into the realities of war, exploring its causes, its impact, and the enduring quest for peace. By understanding the complexities of conflict, we can work towards a future where dialogue, diplomacy, and cooperation prevail over violence and destruction. The causes of war are complex and multifaceted, often stemming from a confluence of factors rather than a single isolated event. Understanding these underlying causes is crucial in addressing the root of conflict and preventing future outbreaks of violence. One major driver of war is economic interest. Nations often engage in conflict over resources such as oil, minerals, or fertile land. Control over trade routes and access to markets can also fuel tensions and lead to disputes over economic power. History is replete with examples of wars fought over resources, highlighting the role of economic competition in international relations. Political power is another significant factor that contributes to the outbreak of war. Nations may resort to military force to expand their territories, assert their dominance, or protect their perceived national interests. Ideological differences, such as those related to religion, political systems, or cultural values, can also lead to conflict. When these differences become deeply entrenched and irreconcilable, they can create a climate of mistrust and hostility that makes peaceful resolution difficult. The pursuit of power and resources has been a recurring theme in the history of warfare, from ancient empires vying for control over trade routes to modern-day conflicts over oil and minerals. The scramble for colonies during the age of imperialism is a prime example. European powers engaged in fierce competition for control over territories. This resulted in numerous wars and left a legacy of exploitation. Even in the 21st century, the pursuit of resources continues to be a source of tension. The competition for oil and gas reserves has raised concerns about future conflicts. Ideological differences, often rooted in deeply held beliefs and values, have also been a potent catalyst for war throughout history. From religious wars to conflicts fueled by political ideologies, the clash of ideas and worldviews has led to some of the most intractable and devastating conflicts. The European wars of religion in the 16th and 17th centuries stand as a stark reminder of how religious differences can escalate into widespread violence. Fueled by the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic Church's response, these wars engulfed much of Europe in a bloody conflict that reshaped the religious and political landscape of the continent. In the 20th century, the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union showcased the dangers of ideological conflict on a global scale. The clash between communism and capitalism, fueled by mistrust, propaganda, and the threat of nuclear annihilation, dominated international relations for decades and pushed the world to the brink of war on multiple occasions. Section 5. World War I, the Great War that shattered the world. World War I, often referred to as the Great War, was a global conflict that engulfed Europe and beyond from 1914 to 1918. It was a war of unprecedented scale and brutality, leaving an indelible mark on the 20th century and shaping the course of human history. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in Sarajevo on June 28, 1914, ignited a complex web of alliances and rivalries that quickly escalated into a full-blown war. Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria formed the Central Powers, while Great Britain, France, Russia, Italy, and eventually the United States formed the Allied powers. World War I introduced new technologies and tactics that forever changed the nature of warfare. Trench warfare, machine guns, poison gas, and tanks resulted in unprecedented casualties and a level of destruction never before witnessed. The war claimed the lives of millions of soldiers and civilians, leaving countless others wounded, displaced, and traumatized. Section 6, World War II, a global struggle against tyranny. World War II erupted in 1939 when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. Driven by racial superiority and territorial expansion, Nazi Germany's aggression plunged the world into conflict. The Allied powers fought to defeat the Axis powers and prevent tyranny. World War II witnessed horrific atrocities, including the Holocaust. The war saw the use of atomic bombs, marking a turning point in history. The war's end in 1945 led to profound global changes. Section 7. The Scars of War. Lasting impacts on humanity. The consequences of war extend far beyond the battlefield, leaving lasting scars on individuals, societies, and the world as a whole. The physical destruction, economic devastation, and psychological trauma inflicted by war can have profound and long-term effects. One of the most immediate and visible consequences of war is the loss of human life. Millions of soldiers and civilians have perished in wars throughout history, leaving behind grieving families and shattered communities. The physical and psychological wounds of war can also linger long after the fighting has ceased, affecting veterans, civilians, and future generations. War also takes a heavy toll on economies, diverting resources away from essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The destruction of infrastructure, industries, and agricultural land can cripple economies and hinder development for years or even decades. The economic costs of war can be staggering, requiring massive investments in reconstruction and recovery. Section 8. The human cost: lives lost, families torn, and futures stolen. Beyond the statistics and economic figures lies the profound human cost of war. Each casualty represents a life cut short, a family torn apart, and a future stolen. The emotional and psychological scars of war can run deep, affecting individuals, families, and entire communities for generations. Soldiers who experience the horrors of combat often carry the invisible wounds of war long after they return home. Post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, and survivor's guilt are just some of the challenges that veterans may face as they try to reintegrate into civilian life. Civilians caught in the crossfire of war also endure unimaginable suffering. Displacement, famine, disease, and the constant threat of violence become part of daily life. Children in particular are vulnerable to the trauma of war, which can have long-lasting effects on their physical, emotional, and cognitive development. Section 9. Rebuilding after the storm. The long road to recovery. The process of rebuilding after a war is a daunting and complex task. It requires not only physical reconstruction but also the healing of emotional wounds, the reconciliation of divided communities, and the restoration of trust. Rebuilding infrastructure such as roads, bridges, hospitals, and schools is essential for restoring basic services and jump-starting economic activity. However, physical reconstruction alone is not enough. Addressing the psychological and social impacts of war is equally crucial for achieving lasting peace and stability. Reconciliation and justice are also essential components of post-war recovery. Addressing past grievances, promoting forgiveness, and holding perpetrators accountable are crucial steps in healing divisions and preventing future cycles of violence. Transitional justice mechanisms such as truth commissions and international tribunals can play an important role in this process. Section 10. Striving for peace: lessons learned and the path forward. Despite the devastating consequences of war, history also offers hope and valuable lessons for building a more peaceful future. By understanding the causes of conflict, promoting dialogue and diplomacy, and fostering a culture of peace, we can work towards a world where violence is no longer an acceptable solution to disagreements. International organizations, such as the United Nations, play a vital role in promoting peace and security by providing a platform for dialogue, mediating disputes, and enforcing international law. Diplomacy, negotiation, and conflict resolution are essential tools for resolving differences peacefully and preventing the escalation of tensions into violence. Education also plays a crucial role in fostering a culture of peace. By teaching young people about conflict resolution, tolerance, and the importance of dialogue, we can help break down prejudices, promote understanding, and create a more peaceful and just world. War has devastating consequences for humanity. The scars of war run deep and take generations to heal. By promoting dialogue and diplomacy, we can work towards a future without war. Kofi Annan said, "Peace is not merely the absence of war, it is a virtue." Let us strive to build a world where peace is a living reality. The path to peace is challenging, but it is a journey we must undertake together.